2012, the year that Gangnam Style would be unleashed onto the world. But despite the song going viral in nearly every country in the world, there was one major Asian country that the song never caught on: Japan. Gangnam Style is a pop culture force that very few songs can match. Yet during the Gangnam Style craze, it felt like Japan had this protective barrier around it, that it couldn't be touched by Psy's viral hit. When I visited Japan a week after Gangnam Style went viral around the world, it felt like a different world. So naturally, I asked some of my friends living in Tokyo, "So, how about that Gangnam Style? Yeah, pretty good?" And a lot of my friends in Japan were like, "Yo bro, the song here didn't catch on." And I'm like, "No, that's not true. No, Gangnam Style is a huge hit." But they were right. The song did not catch on. In fact, for several nights, we went around Tokyo at night and not one place played Gangnam Style. It ultimately shocked me that Gangnam Style never hit it in Japan. But after spending a couple days in Japan and talking to some of my Japanese friends, I understand why it didn't. While the rest of the world was horse dancing, singing Oppan Gangnam Style, and being introduced to Psy, the fad passed by Japan. Downtown Tokyo was largely void of any place playing Gangnam Style, and the Japanese didn't really care about the viral hit sweeping the rest of the world. Meanwhile, outside of Japan, the song would hit #1 on various charts around the world, including Canada, the UK, Australia, France, Finland, Germany, China, and Israel. The song would also place very high in the vaunted US music market, placing #2 on the US Billboard charts. Psy would be invited to perform in several countries, such as performing in New York in the US, introducing Korean music on one of the biggest stages in the world. So naturally, Gangnam Style became the song of the year in Korea, overshadowing nearly every other K-pop song in 2012. And for about 5 years, it became the highest viewed YouTube music video, being the first video to hit 1 billion views and holding that highest viewed video title on YouTube until July 2017. What's even more strange is that it wasn't like Japan was allergic to K-pop. When K-pop started to explode in 2010, Japan was one of the first targets in Asia to experience the Hallyu explosion, as they embraced K-pop with open arms. So the problem wasn't Japan not being open to Korean music. So this brings up the question, how did Gangnam Style go past the land of the rising sun? When people first saw Gangnam Style, many saw a video that was funny, that had a catchy beat, and a random dude doing the horse dance. Yet the Japanese audiences, this is the exact opposite of the ideal K-idol image. Japanese fans see K-pop singers as very attractive, very handsome, and very beautiful K-idols. Japanese audiences are used to drama stars and K-pop idols such as DBSK or TVXQ, better known as Toho Shinki in Japan, J-pop and K-pop star BoA, as well as the newer idols such as Girls' Generation or Shoujo Jidai in Japan, 21, Kara, and Big Bang. As much as I like Psy, even I have to admit, he doesn't fit the mold of a K-pop idol at all. He's in his mid-30s, he doesn't have the K-pop idol physique, and his music doesn't fit the K-pop style. That image of Psy horse dancing shattered the more ideal image of what a K-pop singer should look like. Psy countered this by saying that you shouldn't have to look at him to enjoy the song, that you should focus on the place, Gangnam, where it's a hot spot of Seoul, the party place, that you don't need to be attractive to enjoy music, have fun, and dance. The humorous meaning, song and dancing in Gangnam Style would instead carry the song. Yet Psy's take still wasn't shared by Japanese fans, especially in the Korean-centric Shin-Okubo area. So what is the Shin-Okubo area? It's the Koreatown of Tokyo, the Korean mecca of the city. When I visited Shin-Okubo during the Gangnam Style craze, the people I talked there had some great insights why the song never caught on in the country. The words fat, chubby, and unattractive were thrown around. Since the majority of Japanese K-pop fans were female at the time, this image would attract them to watch Gangnam Style, but they would sorely be disappointed. A study from UC Berkeley shows that many Japanese K-pop fans thought he resembled the Korean leader Kim Jong-il or a sumo wrestler, rather than your ideal, attractive K-pop star. Those are some harsh criticism on looks and admittedly puts K-pop beauty standards very high. Another big reason why Gangnam Style never went viral in Japan is it never had a Japanese equivalent, although Psy really pushed to have one. He wanted to call it Roppongi Style and cater to the Japanese audience. But unfortunately, Psy got turned down by YGEX, one of the subsidiaries of YG Entertainment, which opted for a Korean release of Gangnam Style in the country, with the further Japanese Roppongi Style that would come out a bit later, but never did. And Psy couldn't have been too pleased with this, because he knows that the Japanese market works. Japan is a notoriously difficult market for foreign acts to break through. While many American and European groups become popular in Japan, those regions get a pass because English is such a globalized language and Japanese students are required to learn at least some English growing up. But K-pop acts, on the other hand, go through what every foreign act that tries to get into Japan goes through, and that is this Japanese barrier. So how do you get past this Japanese barrier? Well, you don't do what a lot of K-pop acts do. And what they do is they just repackage a K-pop song and sell it in Japan with Korean lyrics. Or they translate the song into Japanese with no music video. And with both of these cases, Japanese audiences don't like this one bit.
Japan respects artists that stay in the country for a while, create Japanese custom songs, and learn the language and culture. One of the most successful K-pop acts of all time in Japan is Kara. And the reason why is that the group actually did take the time to learn Japanese, its culture, and make Japanese-only albums, which Japanese fans greatly appreciated. Some of the members speak very good Japanese, if not fluent in it. So how does this relate to Gangnam Style? The song is Korean, and it didn't have that typical K-pop idolish sound, and it's a song that never had a Japanese release, so Japanese audiences can never relate to either the song nor the artist. But it wasn't because Psy didn't want to adhere to Japanese customs, and he actually wanted to emphasize Japan. As mentioned earlier, his Roppongi style music video and song was shot down by YGEX. From there, Psy knew that Japan's barrier would most likely keep him out of the Japanese music market.
So politics and tensions were high during 2012. So there's always this land dispute that happens between Korea and Japan, and it really sparked this year. Called the Lion Court Rocks, it's called Dokdo in Korean and Takeshima in Japan. And currently, Dokdo has been under Korean sovereignty. It's under Korean control. There's also the dispute that the region of water between Korea and Japan is either called the East Sea or the Sea of Japan. Korea wants it to naturally be called the East Sea, yet most atlases still have it as the Sea of Japan. So Korea brought up this issue this year and wanted to change the official name of that body of water. But regardless of these tensions, I don't think that Gangnam Style failed by any stretch of the imagination because the two countries were butting heads. Not at all. I believe that there was a Korean song that Japanese audiences really grooved to and really liked, that the song would have went viral in the country, despite any major differences between the two countries. Furthermore, the average Japanese person doesn't have any interest in the Lion Court Rocks, or as Koreans call it again, Dokdo. Yet, pretty much all Koreans are invested in the Dokdo and keeping it under Korean control. I don't think politics played any major part in the lack of Gangnam Style success in Japan.
But not all is lost in Gangnam Style not going viral in the country. While Roppongi Style never dropped in Japan, some foreigners living in the country decided to make their own song from the viral Psy hit.
Gaijin Style.
Called Gaijin Style, the song is a parody that mocks stereotypical expat behavior living in the country. Now of course there's a lot of good foreigners living in Japan, but the lyrics hit hard to expats that actually act like this in the parody. The song first came out to mixed reviews, with the like to dislike ratio not being the greatest. Yet many did applaud and praise Gaijin Style in the comments and calling out bad behavior from the more shady expats living in the country in comedic fashion. As dominant as a song Gangnam Style was around the world, Japan never embraced the horse dancing king. Psy failing to do Roppongi Style and at least try to cater to Japan was a missed opportunity. But the other outcome could have been that the song actually catching on in the country, despite Psy's image of a non-K-pop idol. Ultimately, not having Roppongi Style would doom Gangnam Style to just another song to Japanese audiences, a song that would go over the land of the rising sun. Japan would ultimately sit on the sidelines while the rest of the world was horse dancing away.
So thank you for watching this video, and I'd love to know your comments in the comments below. And you guys know the drill. If you guys want no BS on how the K-pop industry works from a journalist, then please download my free ebook in the description below. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.